Here, buddy, Coach here with the LFS-Kali Fight Team doing another episode of 2 FMA-Nerds Talk About Stuff. Episode 36, I had Guro Sachi Villareal from the Lightning Scientific Arnis Alliance. Great dude. We talked. He's one of my favorite dudes in the community because I've been interacting with him and his whole crew for a while. His crew is actually a great example of how to build a brotherhood without all the political bullshit that is typical in FMA. So, anyways, we talked about his immigration story. We talked about being culture bearers and ways to have a resurgence of indigenous culture and this issue about post-colonial identity and multiple identities typical of a ethnic community out that has been previously colonized, which, I mean, it's pretty important. And there's a lot of anger particular to that subject for a younger generation. And part of these conversations are actually helping mentor, or at least the intent is to help mentor that younger generation to move past and through that anger. Not saying that we forget about it, but I'm also saying that we don't forget and we do something positive about it, because this is how we heal from generational trauma. Anyways, great episode. Check it out. Sachi, what's going on, man?
Good evening, America, and magandang umaga po sa tagapagpakinig sa Pilipinas.
Nice.
You gotta make sure to take care of all the time zones.
Right.
Good afternoon out there in the West too.
Yeah. So Sachi, let's do a little biographical. Tell me a story of who you are, where you came from. I mean, we could start all the way back because that'll be awesome. Definitely let's get into the immigration story, and while you're doing that, I'm going to finish sharing stuff out because I wasn't done. So go ahead and tell your story. Yeah. If I look like I'm all over the camera, it's just me playing with buttons. So
no, that's okay. Well, again, thank you very much for inviting me here. This is quite an honor. You know, you give a great voice to the Filipino martial arts. Cool. I love your approach to it. You know, you bring in the mental aspect of it, and I don't know. I can't say it's like passivity, but it's like a peaceful approach to it, because it's always like if you do Filipino martial arts and you go to the forum, just give it a minute and everyone's fighting. But this is a great place to hang out, and I'm glad that I got a chance to be here. So I am Guro Sachi Villareal. I am originally from the Western Visayas in Panay Island, back in the Philippines. So nice. Panay Island is a small island in, I would say, it's the central part of the Philippines, of the Visayas. You have Cebu on the east, and we are on the west. And it's a small island, but a lot of systems come out. The ones that here in the United States come from that small island. Well, of course, I have to start with the system of Lightning Scientific Arnis, founded by Grandmaster Ben Lema, which happens to also be my grandfather. But nice. Modern Arnis is also from Western Visayas, in Negros, in Hinigaran, Negros. Grandmaster Remy and Ernesto Presas are from there. Pikiti Tertia, another system that is well known here in the West. Grand Tuhon is also, we call it an Ilonggo. That's the I guess the diaspora of that island. He's also Ilonggo. That's the same language. He speaks the same language as me. So
Huh.
Pikiti Tertia, Lightning, Modern Arnis. There's a bunch of systems there, especially in Negros. They have you can see Master Felix Ginabo. Also, they have the Negros Mostradors. Just saying shout out to our friends and brothers there in Negros, and of course our Lightning Scientific Arnis International group. So I started Arnis early on with my father. He
Hmm.
was also an Arnisador. You know, he's not like a grandmaster or anything, but he he really was interested in martial arts. So he studied. He has a teacher
Hmm.
called his name was Lolo Mayong, old man uh, in a town called Iloilo. That's two
Hmm.
hours from where I am. He used to practice law there, but he would teach me the basics. Now that I remember his basics, a lot of terminology at that time was the terminology I hear like from modern Arnis, but it's a generic terms like redonda, banda y
Hmm.
banda, those kind of things. Um, but he started me on the path to it, but he also introduced me to his teacher, Lolo Mayong. This old guy, lives in a hut in the middle of the farm. I still vividly remember meeting him for the first time because I was probably, I would say, 7 years old at
Hmm.
that time. He brought me there, and during my era, early 80s, there were no kids classes in Filipino martial arts or Filipino martial arts at all. But there were no kids classes, even in regular martial arts, not like now, because a lot
Yeah.
of what I realize here in the States, the kids martial arts are like, hey, that's where you bring the money in. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of it. So, but there's nothing like that before. Before it was like if you want to learn martial arts for whatever reason, self defense or physical fitness, you study martial arts, but you don't think about bringing your kids to martial arts then,
Hmm.
because there was no push for it, that awareness that hey, this can bring confidence and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Parents would be like, I don't want you guys, yeah, I don't want you fighting, maybe like be passive, don't learn how to fight, maybe you're not gonna get into a fight. But then the reality is, of course, there's bullies in school, and
Hmm.
those are a lot of things that we especially in the Philippines, where though that topic is taboo. I guess even most places, right? So most of us growing up would experience that in some form or another. Anyway, I digress. So I met Lolo Mayong, and my father said, Lolo Mayong. Lolo is grandfather
Hmm.
for our American audience. Is can I my can is my son, can are you able to teach my son, or is he ready? Because I was very very young.
Hmm.
And he said, let's take a look. So he was like, boy, come here. So I came to him, but I was already eager. I was already
Hmm.
an eager martial artist. Those were still the era of Bruce Lee. The Shaolin Temple. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
I just those are like the time for like nerdy martial arts stuff. And I was just so in it. And he said he came to the front of him, and he pulled out a wooden dagger, right? Our daga. He said, I'm gonna try to hit you on the head. He
Hmm.
said, like this. I want you to trust me that I'm not gonna hit you. That's it. So that was the entrance test, and he was like, right there in his, there's one thing that I don't see a lot now. That skill of control. And he
Hmm.
was like, boom, and then it just stops like centimeters on your head, like, boom, like
Yep.
that. And he did that a couple of times, and he looked at my father and said, yes, I can teach him. And my father said, why? He didn't blink. And then that was it. So I did study a little bit from him, not fully, because I was still in school, but I
Hmm.
did remember the teaching. His style, unfortunately, it was still one of those old traditional styles where it was family based or
Mm-hmm.
friends based. It was only taught to certain people.
Mm-hmm.
So it died. His kids. I don't think anybody in his family picked it up. But it was such a beautiful art system. I still remember a little bit of it. It's like kendo.
Mm.
It's almost like kendo. Like it's very very small, like that. It's like a little flick, and it goes straight.
Oh, that's
you
cool.
know yeah, so
Yeah.
like you got kendo, it's like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very very much like that. That is, until now I haven't seen an FMA style that does it like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know Maybe Ki a little bit, because Tatang is very fast, but that one
Yeah.
was just really really direct,
Yeah.
um and stuff like that. So I learned from that. My father was still a lawyer at that time. So as it went along, like 11 years old, 11, 12 years old, my father was elected vice governor of our province, or
Oh,
our
nice.
state. Right. So one of the things he did, he advocated, was to promote Arnis. It's not called
Mm-hmm.
Filipino martial arts. I've
Yeah.
only knew of the term FMA when I came here to the States. It was only Arnis. That's it. Stick fighting. That's it. Or whatever. That there's no other sub genre of it.
Mm-hmm.
So he wanted to revive it in a way, because as probably a lot of people who came from the Philippines maybe have talked to you in interviews, there was even Arnis is not known in the Philippines during that time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nobody knew about it. It was like, at the time, the biggest martial arts in the Philippines was karate and judo. Though everyone went to that, including me. Um, so because one of the reasons was the arnisadors, as I mentioned earlier, were family systems, were handed down. It wasn't propagated in in the in a way that it is like right now, until you know uh, people and masters like Grandmaster Remy Presas, who actually put a book, a textbook that was used to school, and Grandmaster Remy basically was the first one that I know of that started marketing it to the schools. It's like, hey, you know what? Include this as your physical education curriculum, PE. We call it PE. And it's got slowly assimilated in certain schools, but it's still not. It was still wasn't nationwide. So my father wanted to revive that, at least in our hometown. That's when he mentioned to me that he said, "Do you know that you have a grandfather that is a grandmaster?" I was
Huh.
like, "What does that mean?" I was like, "That's cool," but there was no rankings, right?
Mm-hmm.
In those family systems, there was no ranking. You just have that old man who taught. There was no rank. It was like
Mm-hmm.
you just pay your respects to the teacher, or but you call him by an honorary, say Manong or
Mm-hmm.
Mang, right? There was no grandmaster, nothing like that. So he said, but your grandfather, my well, we call anyone older in our family lolo, which
Mm-hmm.
translates to grandfather. But Mang Ben Lema, founder of Lightning Scientific Arnis, is my father's uncle. So he's more of my granduncle. So anyway, uh, so my the first one of the projects my father was in order. There was a big festival happening in town. The whole I would say whole New Jersey, right? Because there's no term like province here, more of a
Mm-hmm.
state. Uh, he There was also no internet and no TV then, and the provinces, like few
Yep.
only. On the
Yep.
radio, he made an announcement. Hi, this is this is Vice Governor Villareal. I am calling on any arnisador that who, if you know someone, if you hear this announcement on the radio, if you know someone, if you hear this, if you practice arnis, please, we the government, the provincial government of Capiz would like to invite you to a special demonstration. Come here, bring your system. We'll sponsor whatever cost you need to come here.
That's
So
awesome.
so that was the start, right? But he wanted to highlight his uncle, my Lolo Ben, as the main draw, or
Yeah.
he's gonna be the highlight of the whole presentation. So uh, we invited Mang Ben or Lolo Ben in Manila to come um, to Capiz, where I'm from, the city, the province or raw city where I'm from, to be at that big demonstration. Where hopefully we're hoping that all the masters hidden or established would come. So Mang Ben, Lightning Scientific Arnis, already has uh, uh, a, a branch in our town with his first generation students, or I mean that earlier generation students. That's it, right there on the top. Yeah, Raw City. There it is, right near the ocean. So they already have a school there. So I started studying under that system. That's the second main system that I really studied with, Lightning Scientific Arnis. By have So I've studied in this system for probably at that point maybe a year only,
Hmm.
a year or two. But I've never met the founder yet. So that was the first time I met him. So we were preparing for that big um, demonstration, and there's a big festival called Halaran at that time. Like there's like party on the streets, like Mardi Gras, that kind of big.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
the province reserved the kind of like the basketball court right in the middle of the city, where they host like basketball tournaments and stuff. It was open. There was no stadium or anything then at that time. So that's gonna be the venue. Advertisements were sent out. We'll have people coming in. We will have a grand demonstration of our news, and people was like, "Oh, what's that?" So they were curious. We made it curious. We invited performers also, like bands and stuff like that, just to
Hmm.
pull people in along with it. So maybe 2 days before, two to one day before, uh, people start coming in already. Like I think it was like a day before at least. People start coming in, and these were like farmers, you
Hmm.
know. People like who's that guy? Like there was like the farmers with his son. They just come in. It's like, sir, we've heard of your invitation. We would like to be part of this. So people like those, like from the highlands, like simple people, like taxi drivers, like yeah, it's like they have their own systems. So they started appearing, and it was like, oh my god, this is so cool, right? And then of course, Mang Ben from Manila came in to the airport. We have like a big what do you call that, kind of celebration to welcome him,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And Mang Ben was one of those kind of masters that he was ready for the show. Dressed well, white hair, shaven back. He was probably um, maybe 67 at the time when I met him. But this guy was like not your typical Filipino looking guy. He's tall. He has like this white hair. He always wears. We've seen his video, right? He demos on his dress shirt and slacks and like leather shoes, like that. And then he was muscular. He was built, not like bodybuilder, but like because he believes in fitness. Right, so he comes in. You see that aura of him, that confidence, silent confidence. He's not like he doesn't like talk or brag. It's just like just if anybody has trained with a Japanese master, or any of that Asian masters, so like that they exude that confidence without talking. That's what it
Stoicism.
is.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
just like he just walks into the room, everyone bows their head, and this is the master and stuff like that. So that's the first time I met him. And then after breakfast we went directly to the gym, because he's one of those also like, hey, if you're gonna perform tomorrow, when you put my name in it, I want to see what you guys have prepared for me. So it was just like that, sitting on the corner, and the instructors were showing off their demos and stuff like that to him. And if he approves it or he wants to change it, all right, this is okay, maybe you should do the same thing. And there I was. My teachers already prepared me to do a demo with the Grandmaster. And because I was introduced as the apo, or the grandson, because that has always stuck with the two of us. And they prepared me in a way to drill against him, but he was a lefty, so I had to prepare myself how to deal with the lefty. They tried, but no, but there was no one that was a natural lefty to kind of mix. So during that day, he liked, I guess he liked my movement, because he doesn't say, he was just like that, and then he did demo with me, and it was like, oh man, uh it was a great experience. I still remember that, because he has any of these grandmasters, how they deliver. There's a sense of purpose. I would say that's the term. There's a sense of purpose when they attack you. They know how much power to put in to you. There's a sense of accuracy. He hits differently with much bigger guys, but for me, he would start slow, and he has a rhythm. He never starts like pam pam pam. No, nothing. It's like slow first, slow, slow, and then he crescendos, and then he goes fast, and then he changes tempo, and then he crescendos towards the end. That was like one thing that I really really remembered, and how I felt um, with with the stick. So right until now, I tell people why I don't train with gloves, because part of that process is that feeling that when you connect with somebody's stick, I can tell a lot from that input, how much power you're giving me,
Yep.
how
Yep.
much control you have, how much what do you call this, accuracy you have. A lot is said in there, that vibration, that power, and where it's hitting in the part of your stick. All of that gets input. Like although lightning is known like as a power hitting system and speed, with him it's not just about that. There's power, but he can control it, depending on what he thinks you can handle.
Yeah.
So there's no protective. So but the hits would really go as accurate as where its intended target is. It's just up to you to react to that certain input, but it's not. Most of the time it's not given, like you're giving a stick and then you react to it, but they're giving it so you can react to it. No, it's really there's an intent to it. So that's part of your training, because we don't have the system that we have right now where we can put on headgear. We don't have a way to kind of put gloves on and stuff. So that's why there's a beauty in those old school kind of drills, right?
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
with G and Bobby. There's no gloves and stuff like that. But that feel, it's very very important. How you top the stick, how the sticks leaves. Like I've had an opportunity to um, get into a private class with Tatang
Hmm.
Illustrissimo, and the feel is totally different. Like
Yeah.
my grandfather, if you're not ready for that power, your defense is gonna fold. But with Tatang, it's quick. It's just like then it's gone.
Yeah.
It doesn't stay there. It's like, then it's gone, because that was the his system. So, but those inputs, right? I remember those. Because I felt it. It's like eating with your hands, right? There's a difference between eating a spoon and the fork, but if you touch the fish, you eat the rice with your hands. There's a whole sensory input that gets added to it. So anyway, that was that, and then there was that demo the next day. We housed those teachers, fed them, and they have their house, so they don't have to go to the barrios and stuff like that. It was
Hmm.
beautiful thing. The plaza was packed with people. People were curious, and we have like musicians first to just attract them, and then yeah, you have this old school systems, man. That I had styles that I haven't seen anything yet in the whole duration of YouTube.
Well,
A
it
lot,
sounds what it
yeah,
sounds like is this was a giant cultural event. Because it's interesting. Talk about like the Phil or the Filipino diaspora experience. There's a lot of Filipinos that have immigrated outside of the islands that are just and their children are just hungry for these cultural events where they get to
yeah, I know.
enjoy
I'm sure.
almost be Filipino at least for that day. And it's really interesting that, and this is a common story that we all know, is that as Filipinos growing up, we didn't know that we had our own system. I mean, the whole
No,
story you just
yeah,
told.
I never
It's
did. I didn't either, and I was
yeah,
there.
and you were there, and you're a lineage holder.
Yeah,
So it's amazing of what gets the priority of culture, and this is that issue about like making sure that our culture bearers are able and have the space to share that with the next generation, but also the curiosity of that next generation
yeah,
to seek out that knowledge. And yeah, it's such a curious thing, particular to our variety of cultural identities as Filipinos, because as like the rest of the Asiatic martial arts, like say, I'm going to say Chinese and Japanese are specifically, there is a clear distinctive like here's the cultural head of whatever Asian martial art that is, and it's clearly it's revered, it's honored, they have a high place in society,
yes,
and
the warrior
everybody,
class.
yeah, everybody knows. But for the Filipinos, it's not the case. It's always like, oh, you're an arnisador, you're a criminal. It's like,
Yeah, or you're just a farmer.
yeah,
Because at that time, only farmers carry bolo with them
mhm,
regularly on a daily basis, and nobody's gonna check you. If
yep,
you're a city boy with with jeans, with denim and like a shirt, and if you have a bolo, and the police gonna stop you. But
yeah,
don't but with the farmers, nobody stops them. It's just
hmm,
assumed that that's their farm tool. But people don't know. These people know how to use it,
yeah.
not
And I,
all, but some just hidden
yep.
know how to use them.
And I wonder if that is a holdover. I mean, we're going to dive into the colonial decolonized mindset, but like the affect of colonization, there is this issue
Yes.
about the stratification of society, like the whole issue about the mestizos being the priority.
Yeah.
Closer you are to mestizio, more of a revered position that you have in Filipino society post colonial. And one of that is a carryover to current gen or generation adjacent to ours before, that the peasantry, the farmers, the poor, the working class,
Mm-hmm.
they're the ones that are the lineage holders of these things, but because they were treated as lower economic classes, they didn't have the societal honoring societal priority to pass this on, because the higher levels of society said, "Oh, we're adhering
Yeah.
to culture of colonization rather than indigenous culture." So,
My father was a big fan of history,
mhm,
especially history in the indigenous history. You
mhm,
know, I started Philippine Arnis. I was a young boy, so I wasn't really into it. I didn't really delve into the history of it, but I would always like see this passion from my father
mhm,
regarding the history of even in the small towns. For example, before the Spanish came, they they made us believe that we are barbarians. You know
mhm,
that we need them to become a better society. But
yep,
before they came in, we have kings, we
yeah,
have established classes, we have laws
mhm,
that is we have laws, and a lot of those laws make sense still. So the society was organized, you
mhm,
know. So we have maharlikas, we have the dadu. So we they destroyed all of those, you
mhm,
know, and replaced it with theirs. But we have a very functioning society
yeah,
that had monarchy,
yep,
you know, and then the warrior class was elevated.
mhm,
It is the same way as the other Asian martial arts, because you know we in any type of warfare, the general is always looked up to next to the king,
yep,
right? So
yep,
so we have those and stuff like that. But as I said, uh, when the Spanish came, and this is true to many of the countries that were colonized by Spain, you know, your not only was your culture destroyed, your belief system was replaced by Catholicism.
mhm,
Hey, you know what? If you're not gonna believe this, you're gonna go to hell and stuff like that. But in because it's like, you know, paganism, you that's not gonna bring you anywhere or something. So are when they took out they made the term paganism in a sense that it sounds like a negative, but a lot
mhm,
of our stories were there, a lot of our folklore was there. So
mhm,
when they threw it out threw those out, we threw out a lot of our knowledge and wisdom from there. In Panay Island, we have a story called the Barter of Panay, where the datus and the rajas that came, um, I would say from Borneo, as was told was us, they came to that part of the island, but there was already natives there.
mhm,
But instead of like occupying them, they made a barter. Like,
mhm,
can we live on this certain land? Like it, you know, it was a barter that was just, you know, there was no hey, they didn't look at those people. The natives was like, oh, there's barbarians, we can take over this guys. No, they didn't. There was a
yep,
barter of Panay. There was treaties. They signed things, you know. Not unlike when the Spanish came, like, oh yeah, let's start with the mass, and then we'll just, you know, it's like Thanksgiving, we'll kill you after.
yeah,
But so that's where you know, I'm curious, like how much did we lose, how much did
mhm,
we keep, you know. But that's something that my dad was really interested in. And then Professor Hokano is one of our premier anthropologist right now in the University of the Philippines, which is,
mhm,
you know, also a lightning guru. Like I always like tweak his mind. Did this really happen? What happened like this? So there's, you know, there's still something a lot that I have to learn. I haven't really delved into it, but at some point I will. But the idea is a lot of our wisdom, a lot of our culture, a lot of our traditions a lot of our oral stories, they were gone,
Mm-hmm.
replaced by something so foreign to us. And even that's why even now we debate where did our news come from. Some people
Right.
say, hey, you know what, this developed from fencing, from Western fencing. Some is like, no, 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 before they came here we already have it.
Mm-hmm.
So but that died because they from what I was told, they had to put that down. The warrior class, take out the warrior class. That's what you take out first, the military. you
Yep.
know
You
if
take
you
out
want
the
to subdue a
military.
people,
You take out the
take out the
military.
leaders,
Yeah, you
convert
take
the
out the
leaders.
right. You take out the military, convert the leaders, destroy, distort the language,
Yes,
destroy the educational institutions.
replace the belief system, which is
Mm-hmm.
big.
Yeah, and then you
So yeah,
marginalize the identity and poison that identity to a victim mindset, which
yes,
is, I mean, it carries throughout every nation or every First Nations people,
correct.
First Nations peoples that have been conquered and colonized. Because there's a lot to be said about the Filipinos in large that we could learn from the First Nation peoples of the
Oh
North
yeah,
Americas, because they're in a process of reclaiming and thereby creating a new culture by addressing the old hurts, the generational trauma, bringing back old tradition, but not being stagnant as to what it was before, because you can't ever go back, but you can take features and bits of it and bring it forward into the new paradigm of where you're living at, because being a citizen of a modern state, living in the 21st century, those kind of things, and
yeah.
thereby creating a new culture. And that's what I find with like the resurgence of Filipino cultural events, like
Hmm.
these giant Phil-Am events that's happening all over the West Coast and the East Coast. The event that your father put on for all the Arnisadors. It's an opportunity for Filipinos to define and be Filipino.
Yeah,
And,
because
and
even in that certain small level, right?
mhm,
The Filipinos there is like, oh yeah, we have our own martial arts.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's like we've always carried this bolong, but it was only to cut grass and like coconuts and bamboo. It was like, oh, I
mhm,
can fight with this thing.
yeah.
So it
Well,
was
that's
it
the
was
mind
great.
virus. Yeah.
It was beautiful. So anyway, that whole demonstration was a rousing success, and it established our niche there,
Hmm.
some martial arts on the time, including side by side with with karate and judo. So my father even expanded it after
Yeah.
expanded it because my father was he studied theater. He
Hmm.
was a theater actor, director, and writer.
Oh
So
wow.
he had because there was no movies in the towns. There's no
Yeah.
electricity. So he revived another cultural thing, which is called the zarzuela. The zarzuela is like it's a mobile play.
Oh, okay.
So he put together a performing group. We would that group would our theater actors basically, uh, that we would bring town to town in
Hmm.
tell stories, entertain people.
Hmm.
But along with that, there was the Arnis demo team that went in there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
So so anytime we go to a small town, people come from all over because
Hmm.
there was no TV, there's no movies there.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this is the entertainment for the day. So everyone, the whole town would come into the plaza and
Hmm.
watch that performance because we have singers, we have drama, and then drama or the theater tells a lot of the story. We would
Hmm.
we would reenact plays from our legends
Hmm.
or our heroes. We would reenact those, and then the fighting part of those, that's going to be where the doors
Yeah.
come in, or we would have our own demo. So we traveled on a if you look at the map, there's a lot of little towns in province. We went to all of those
Hmm.
to promote Arnis and propagate the art, but at the same time bring culture to the people. And they said, "Wow, we have own stories. It's not just what, because if you think about it, our culture was replaced by something so boring. It's all Catholicism.
Yep. Yep.
There was nothing else if I could think about it. Like, hey, you know what? We have Datu Sumakwel, Datu Paimburo. These are like grand datus,
Mm-hmm.
grand lords, daimyos at the time
Mm-hmm.
of the Philippines. Nobody even heard of those names in across the Philippines. These are localized daimyos that
Mm-hmm.
ruled that part of the Philippines, and it's beautiful. There's a lot. They have stories. We have legends. We have everything. We have our own versions of warriors, monsters. Oh man, it's like Lord of the Rings. Like I have
Yeah.
those stories in because I love those stories when I was a kid. So anyway, so that's how I started. I learned with Mang Ben, and then uh, after that meeting, I developed. He would come into the province like a couple times a year, and I really followed up with my training. But then one summer, my dad said, "Do you want to spend summer with your lolo?" Oh yeah, they see those guys,
Yeah,
and
that's fun.
yeah. So there was one summer. Uh, I wasn't in high school yet. I was a really young boy because the uh, the head of Lightning Scientific Arnis International right now, Tita Pati, my aunt is what do you call this? The daughter of Mang Ben. I stayed at their place and I spent the whole summer there with my Lola sleeping in his room. I slept
Mm-hmm.
on the floor. I liked it. And Tita Pati would be like cooking for us, make sure we're taken care of. I was taking care of. It was my first time to be away from my parents, but I didn't care. I was just like I was so into martial arts then. And then
Yeah.
my grandfather didn't have a school
Mm-hmm.
that he taught with. He does private tutorial, private students. They
Mm-hmm.
have a school run by Mang Pinong in a lot of his students. They meet once a week in Tambo in Paranaque, and everyone gathers there. All the students, all the teachers gathers there. Mostly the first generation students. He would check on everything. He would show the technique of the week.
Mm-hmm.
He would follow up with them because these guys. So I know were also teaching on their respective schools. So he would do like, hey, just want to check that. Hey, you know what? You're still guys are good. He would demonstrate certain techniques of the weeks that he wants to delve deeper. He would explain it, why this, why we do this, why we do that and stuff. So I was there and I was introduced to those first generation students. Again, the only kid in town. There was no kids class. I was just there, so they had fun drilling with me because I was this little kid and I can respond totally to their inputs. It
Yeah.
was beautiful too because there's a lot of like some of these teachers they do the drills the different way, and I would like adapt to it right there and then. And if I do it, it's like, oh, cool. And there's a thing like, hey, you know what, this is the grandson, and how it is. They were like, okay, so there was like, okay, they was like, oh, we need to test this guy. Although he was a little kid, but there's a sort of like expectation of you
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
way, which is as I grew up with that, it became a challenge, right? To have that expectation of you, but I've always taken that expectation as a positive. So it made me train more because like I just don't want to be known as like the grandson of the grandmaster. I was like, I need to prove myself.
Yeah. You got to
So
earn your spot.
yeah, oh yeah, totally. So like my father was when he was in vice governor still. Uh, his close in bodyguards were Mang Ben's top students who were also trained in security.
Oh, okay.
So how my so what because my father he wasn't really into guns because he was this really, he loves the samurai. Like a pure martial artist. He
Yeah.
sees the honor and the blade.
Fair.
So he wasn't into guns, but because you're a government official, you're assigned security detail from the government, which is the military. So we have two military personnel
Mm-hmm.
that goes with him wherever he goes to, like an engagement, like a speaking engagement in a town. So since you're a military man, the strategy was the military guys accompany him to project that image that because they're in uniform and they have guns and
Yeah.
stuff.
That authority.
Yeah, but the martial arts bodyguards, they're in
Mm-hmm.
the crowd.
Yeah.
So plain clothes.
That's
They were
awesome.
there. They
Well,
they, they don't
that's
carry guns. They
no,
carry
but
they carry their blades.
yeah.
They have their guns too, but they're not that's not their role.
Mm-hmm.
Their goal was to be they go ahead. If there's a fiesta is big in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
Usually the government officials are, because the whole town, that's a part, that's the festival for the whole town. So usually um, government officials are invited in there. So this martial artist dresses plain clothes. They go there two days ahead, just being part of the celebration, just being a local, and like
Mm-hmm.
hearing things, you know. Because once they would go drinking on, like, with the people, or like talking to the people in the little change, or the little store, and
Mm-hmm.
saying things like, then like if you say we don't like this politician here, or they would know the stories ahead of time,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they would be in the crowd just in case, and the attack comes from the crowd.
Yeah.
That's their goal. They're gonna be there, but nobody knows that they're there. This is just plain guys, but martial artists.
Yeah.
Martial artists who knows the blade. Because the military guys, they won't be able to react in time on the stage, hidden on the sides of the stage.
Mm-hmm.
There's three people on the crowd, as always, but those are Mang Ben's students that he would pick as his bodyguard, and those guys, what do you call this, Master Carlito Ondillo,
Mm-hmm.
he stayed. He stays in our house as a guard on the evening. He stays. He's a security detail in the evening, so he stays in our house. We have a house with them near the gate, and he stays there. He doesn't sleep. I mean, he guards the our house on the evening till the morning, just in case, because at that time, uh, killings with political killings were a norm, and it was dangerous. So we always have those. Um,
About what year is this? Is this during Marcos or
yes,
okay.
he was still there.
Okay.
1986 he was overthrown. So yes, it was
Yeah.
those were tumultuous times,
Yep.
and so he won't sleep. You know what? And like I would train them with him on the evening.
Yeah.
I would train after dinner, up in the morning, because so our compound, our house, was used as a training facility. Because my father wanted to see the people come in there, he would put like bags in there,
Mm-hmm.
training dummies. Because nobody can afford gear, but he had a
Yeah.
few gear, so anybody, you're not asked for money. If you want to train, we use that as a training ground for warriors. And
Mm-hmm.
I would like, so that master, he was also a master under Mang Ben. I would train with him up to 1 a.m. 1 in the morning, my dad said, like, Sachi, go sleep already. It's like, I just can't stop. I was
So
just like,
excited.
no, because then he would teach me stuff that he doesn't teach for the public. Because
Mm-hmm.
these guys have been in prison before. Like this was the hitters. This is Mang Ben's hitters. And he would there was like a lot of things that he would teach me, like, say, like, if you're walking, there was one time he taught me something like streets, I was something like street safety tactics, like, if you're walking at night, and then somebody comes to you, you feel something is not right, and he's approaching you. The
Mm-hmm.
first thing you do is move away. While he was still approaching you, move away,
Mm-hmm.
If it comes to you, prepare for an attack.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then it was so simple, right? But damn, it happened to me. It happened to me one night. You know, as I was a student in Manila, I was going home late at night. There was nobody there on the road, and I felt I was being shadowed, right? So I pressed this guy. Then I was like, oh shit, something's just not. He was like walking very aggressive and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I'll move to the other side of the street.
Mm-hmm.
He moved there.
Yep.
He moved there. So the first thing I did was pretend that I had a knife, and I was like pulling my shirt and I was doing like this. He stopped and went away. But you know, I don't know what his intentions was, but that saved me or helped me. But
Yeah.
those things like I learned from you know, street level street tactics in a way, or when you when we go out with friends at night, because there's the barbecue places in the provinces, they're outdoor places,
Mm-hmm.
and people usually go there after drinking, so people are drunk and you have like, say, you know, some skewered meats and stuff like that to just take up the hangover and stuff. And it was like, you know, make sure, and if you're sitting, make sure your back is in the wall,
Mm-hmm.
or you know, somewhere where your back can attack, because like the most dangerous weapon in the Philippines was not sword. 'Cause nobody carries a sword. Not everyone carries a gun because guns are expensive.
Yep.
Even knives are looked upon. So the usually the feared weapon on the streets were ice picks.
Yes.
The feared weapon and the streets were ice picks, because they just walk by. Yep, that's it. They just hit you and you don't even bleed,
Yep.
and you don't bleed. And then and then they do that. If they don't like you, these guys, they don't like you, they just walk past by you, the ones who know, hit you in the side and leave, and you don't, they'll be long gone before you
Yep.
feel that you got hit. So that was the preferred method of assassination.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what, it's not being used in FMA a lot, the ice pick. But that was the feared weapon at the time.
That or using the breakaway razors, or
Mm.
the little craft knife with the Exacto blade in the
But
very
we
end.
don't have those.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
for America, that's been
yeah.
my experience growing up in Southern California dealing with gangbangers. Is
Oh
the
yeah,
preferred method is a breakaway razor or a little craft
yeah.
knife with the disposable blade in the
Yeah,
end.
because the ice pick was just a long 6-inch nail that
Yeah.
you know, making sure everything. Yeah,
Yep.
so a lot. So I was that's why that's like my training was a lot of those,
Mm-hmm.
until I trained with my grandfather in Manila, and I would go every day with him to his private students. So I grew up in my training with him, seeing how he teaches every day,
Mm-hmm.
and if he needs to show something, if he needs to teach the kid or entice the kid of the student, that's where I come in. It's like, oh, look, he can do it too, like, you know, something like that. But that was, you know, let's move. You know, that's how I started training with him, and you know, having his guidance and how I deliver I guess my techniques. You know, it's always under his watchful eye,
Mm-hmm.
and I was that type of martial artist that I'm a traditional martial artist in a say that I don't rush things.
Yeah.
Like even when I teach, I want the form to be good. You know, you're not gonna come to me and get like a 2 week certification and I'm gonna certify you, and it's never gonna happen. This took years for me to master this one single blow, how it's gonna hit you, where it's gonna go, and how much power can it generate. But what I mean is, like, you know, that those a lot of those repetition stuff. I know it's very
Oh.
traditional now, and maybe in the West they don't like it. Yes, I can explain the
Mm-hmm.
nuances of it, but so that's why the first thing that we experience is like any lightning instructor, like Guro Ryan Cordero would say, when we meet instructors there, and they said, oh yeah, we deliver power, and it was like, okay, let's see, and then we would cross sticks with them. It's like, no, that's not powerful, this is powerful, feel it.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a heavy feeling.
Yep.
The
It's
when
that
our sticks connected,
penetrating.
yeah,
It's
there's a heaviness on it that
mhm,
if your roof block is half-assed, it's gonna
mhm.
penetrate. And as you see, a lot of people they half-ass roof blocks here, just like go here on the head, or they just block right here, right in front of the.
And
I have my stick here. Yeah, it
they're not
just
fully supporting. Yeah.
yeah the idea the guys that's gonna collapse, and stuff like that because they haven't felt that much power. But in the Philippines, that's normal.
Hmm.
When you compete, because I did compete um, growing up, people hit there hard.
Hmm. Hmm.
People hit there hard, especially if you competed during the Wekaf era, where there was a big heavy armor. Um, you learn how to penetrate that. You learn how. The gloves before were not padded by hard rubber; it was just foam. So you still end up with swollen arms
Hmm.
after the games because you're used to the idea of penetrating hits because it's gonna take down the arm,
Hmm.
even with pads. There was no there was intent. There was uh, like aggression, not like aggression in the sense like you want to destroy, but it's like there's that offensive mindset to it
Hmm.
and intent. So I don't know if I'm going too fast forward. I think
No, no,
so.
this is great. Honestly, I love collecting stories, and
Yes, me
because I
too.
mean, everybody's unique in their story. I'm gonna go back a little bit with it because
Yeah, because I
as you,
think I went over quick to like my college and my competition days already.
yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna revisit some of the cultural features in here because for one, the backyard systems, the secret systems, the family
Correct.
systems. That's tribal learning. That's
Yes.
how. And for one, to defend the land of the people, one needs to learn the way that our forefathers learned how to defend the land and the people. And being a patriarchal or patrilineal tradition of warriors, father son teaching that. For one, that keeps an oral tradition. It keeps a
Yes.
cultural tradition, keeps it a sense of identity, and what a beautiful way to do that by, for one, going and spending a summer with your grandfather and your
Mm.
grandmother and living with them, so learning them, learning their household and those around them. So
Correct.
you're
Yes.
creating a sense of identity and self, and thereby healing a lot of things. Because the other aspect, what really struck out to me, is that traveling performance group, cultural performance group.
Yes.
What a way
Nobody
to
did that.
yeah, what a way to heal generational trauma brought on by colonialism. Because you get to tell the indigenous stories, the legends, demonstrate the sense of power and identity by having all these unique cultural features that were forgotten, denied, and exiled. And what a way to reclaim a sense of identity. And you see
Yes.
that now here in the States or just in the wider diaspora of the younger generation. Oh, I will say my generation is really the leading this for the benefit of the generation thereafter, is that doing these cultural events to celebrate the things that were lost and creating something new. And a primary feature of that is through performances, music, and
Yeah.
martial arts.
Food. I don't forget the food.
Food, yeah, food. You got to feed everybody after the event. That's the
No, the
best
food.
part
Yeah.
about all those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the first time they try Filipino food, it like it's like it connects you. Food connects us all
Yes.
in a certain way. So yeah, no, I agree with all of those. It's a great way to introduce something to a public,
Hmm.
while they are captivated,
Hmm.
with different things. As I said, we have a lot of cultural dances that we include,
Hmm.
music, storytelling, and then the martial arts. So yeah, uh, that's what I'd like to see here too. And you see it too. But when we do when we go to like those Filipino festivals here,
Hmm.
you would see I'd like to see it when the Philippine cultural dances are, are being shown.
Mhm.
Shout out to like Lex Crisostomo on our FMA East Coast. He brought the folk dancers there with the tinikling and
Oh,
the
nice.
pandangos elang,
Yeah.
ilaw and pangalatok. So a lot of the students who haven't seen that, um,
So Jensen.
it's great. Hi Jensen, I didn't wear your shirt right now, but that's gonna be my trademark, your trademark now. But
Oh, yeah.
what do you call this? They watch this tinikling, right, where the footwork just jumps on like the rhythm
Hmm.
on the sticks. If you're not careful, you're gonna get hit. And they
Yep.
see, oh, this could have been used for footwork or something like
Yeah.
that, right? Uh, or you have the I think it was Pangalatok, where you're attached like
Yeah.
shells here, and then you hit that certain point, which is, as we know, it could be this too.
Or
You
checking where your weapons are at.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then even the Fandango sa Ila, where you have the glass here with a candle, and then you
Hmm.
move it around, and you're not having it fall back and have a candle here.
Hmm.
That's like balance training, and that's like dancing with like a glass here with a candle there and not falling off your head. You know, so then they see it's like, wow, that could work here too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's beautiful. You're right. Bringing that up. Uh, I think, yeah, it is definitely a great way to um, showcase our culture here.
Yeah. Because like the mission of GM Remy Press, that's of course originally was to propagate Filipino culture.
Mm,
The modality was martial arts, and just the same with GM Bobby. I mean, it's propagate the art, but the art is also the people and the culture. So,
yes.
what I'm curious with your experience immigrating to the U.S. Actually, let's go back one. When did you immigrate to the U.S. and was it and why? And then
Mm.
moving forward with that as a third question, what has been your experience about bringing Filipino culture through martial arts to the U.S. and what's been that experience? So, for one, let's go back. When did you and your family immigrate to the U.S. and what was the purpose? Or what was the reasons why? Because given the time of Marcos, I have an idea, but I want to confirm.
Oh no,
So,
no, mine is much later.
okay.
Because I've always wanted to go to the US because I
Mm-hmm.
love to travel, and
Mm-hmm.
I was, I'm also like a science nerd. I'm a computer
Yeah.
engineer,
Mm-hmm.
so like, hi, if I want to learn cutting edge technology, it has to be in America.
Yep.
So I studied computer engineering there, so that and software development, so that would give me a better chance of coming over,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not. I think the only way you can come in here is either you're an IT or you're a nurse. Like, I'm not going
Yeah.
to no hospital. That's not for me. So this is the way, and I did like it. So that was we came here during the dot-com boom. We
Okay. So
were,
then
yeah.
80s. Okay. 80s, early
No, no, no,
90s.
no. Early 90s,
Yep.
Silicon Valley came in. They needed developers. You have these great minds here that you know, they have concepts and they have ideas. They just need the people to get those
Mm-hmm.
ideas out there and, build something out of it. Like, Microsoft, they were hiring and all this stuff. So I was really big into Microsoft technologies then right now,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the reason why that came here. That was my gateway. 2000. So
Okay.
I came in here 2000, late 2000. All right. So here's the thing. I came in here late 2000. Said, oh yeah, finally I was in the U.S. I can get to work here. And then a few months after 9/11 happened, and it was like, oh shit, are we gonna go to war? And that was the initial reaction. Are
Yeah.
we gonna go to war? Should I go back to the Philippines? Because nobody knew at that time.
Right.
I was working in New York City that time,
Oh,
so
wow.
I was late to work. So I was like, I came out of the subway station, get out of the streets. I was seeing people running around. I was like, what's
Yeah.
happening? Because I didn't check the news because I was late. I got a rush.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he said the World Trade Center's on fire. The World Trade Center's on fire. And then I looked at it. one of the buildings was still on fire, and I saw it. It was a big fire, and people were running. And then that was the thing. People thought it was just like a freak accident. That first
Hmm.
building, right? You know,
And then
a
it hit
small plane.
again.
Yeah, a small plane crashed, and nobody knew. You know, it could happen. You know, so there wasn't that, but people were already running because the people had to be taken down from the building, and they had to, even the second building, people had to be evacuated because the fire was big.
Hmm.
And I got into the building, there's nobody there. I was working with MetLife in the MetLife building, and then the security guy was sweeping the floors. He said, "Go to the basement. Go to the basement." And these old New York buildings, man, they have nuclear
Hmm.
bunkers. They have
Yep.
nuclear. The basement was a nuclear bunker. Everyone
Yep.
was there, and I went there, and they were just like a small TV that was watching, and that second plane hit, and a lot of people working that I worked with in the building were reservists, and they
Yep.
got the call, and they said, because now this is an act of war, because
Yep.
now they had that info now from people calling out from the plane that was hijacked. It was like an act of war,
Hmm.
and a lot of them were called. I had an office mate there. He was a Navy guy, and he said I have to go. We're called. There's already a submarine in Hudson Harbor, in the Hudson River. Like things like that. You don't ever know. It was
Yep.
already at the time. There was a fleet engaged. There was like the F1s were already flying all over and stuff like that. It was a war zone
Yep.
technically. That's why
Yep.
that's how they forwarded. So I was like, oh shit, I just got here.
Yeah.
I just got to this country, and then and now what? Banks were closed, transportation was closed. Then at the time, we
Yep.
had we had to be ferried out to the river. So yeah, that was my experience. And then after that, the economy started
Tanking.
going started tanking, and
Yeah.
then 2008, when we got laid off and stuff like that. But that's my intro here in the US. It's like I remember 9/11, not like the excitement when it just came here, because like that's very significant. Nobody
Yeah.
has experienced that before.
Other than Pearl
On
Harbor. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. True, true. But that was like, you're glued to the TV, and all that whole week, that's all you hear.
Yeah.
What's next, right? And like me, they most of the banks, they froze the ATMs for a while too,
Hmm.
and I was like, oh shit, no, what am I gonna do? What are we gonna do? So, but it was interesting. But I really remember that part. But
Yeah.
that's when I came here. That time.
Well, welcome to the U.S. What a time.
I know. And then everything just went downhill from there. I saw
Yeah.
all of this. Then I remember the economy, and then I remembered like I was part of thousands of people getting laid off.
Hmm.
And now there's another things like, okay, now what am I gonna do? A good thing I just got my green card at the time, but I was laid
Yeah.
off. But a lot of those, like if you're an immigrant, there's a lot of things that you don't understand about this country. I don't understand how colleges work here,
Hmm.
how dating works, because like there's nothing to talk about,
Don't
right?
worry, nobody really knows how to date here anyway. So
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. If I'm gonna talk to the girl, they would like, what would be the common? Like, I don't understand the culture at all. So
yeah.
that was my thing. I am just lucky that my first job was in New York, so it was a big melting pot.
Hmm.
It was a big melting pot, which there's Filipino, there's everybody in New York,
Hmm.
so it wasn't much of a shock to me. There's always somebody to talk to.
Yep.
Filipinos also, of course, banded together. When I came here, we were dumped into a staff house with like six other people of
Hmm.
Filipinos. So we had that sort of family. We have the sort of small family that I started with. And you go to the office, and there's not much Filipinos. There are, but like not in my group. So I had to work with my coworkers, and the first time you're gonna work with white people,
Yeah.
and but hey, you as you know there's a lot, as human beings you have a lot in common. You might not have the same cultural values, but you bleed red, and like there's a lot. We have a lot of more similarities that are differences. That's
Yeah.
what I really learned.
We like to eat.
Yeah, like to
We like to
eat,
hang out.
we like to drink and stuff like that. But there's like family,
Yeah.
so it was that's really my introduction here. I wasn't super culture shocked, but Filipinos are very adaptive people,
Yep.
and we are already warmed up by American colonialism. You come here, you got the McDonald's, you got the English, you got the English movies, you got the American music, the American movies. Like there was nothing to adapt to for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
It's just an extension of Manila, basically, with more white people.
Yeah. Unless jeepneys.
Yeah, it's basically so. It wasn't much of an adjustment to me when I
Yeah.
came over. Yeah, culturally it's interesting because New Yorkers uh tend to keep to themselves more.
Mm.
They're not like, hey, yeah, you know th- if you talk to them, they're nice people. You talk to them, but it's like, mind your own business.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna interfere with you. Do whatever you want. Be free to be whoever you are. We don't give a
Just leave me
shit.
alone so you can
Yes,
do.
leave me
Yeah.
alone. I'm gonna leave you alone. And you know what? I love that thing. I love it. It's like, hey, you know what? Like, it's almost like you're accepted, but not really. You're accepted because nobody's gonna pay attention to what you're
Yeah.
doing. So you're free. You're free like that. West Coast is different. West Coast is different to me. There was it's interesting talking about culture. No, I was more culture shocked in the West Coast Filipinos than the East Coast Filipinos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
I grew up on the West Coast. I'm a SoCal boy, so yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. First time I went to California, LA. First thing they asked me, what car do you drive?
Yeah.
Those kind of things. Like I was like, I don't drive a car. I even live in New York. We take the train. Is this like they look at this as status symbols? Like questions like how much do you earn? See, things like and I've never asked there in New York, but these things it's almost like what's your status of your wealth? What job do you have? Like why do you care? Like
Because
that's the
it's
New York
all
mindset.
yeah, it's all competition. So here's a question. Our collective homies are in here. Got Errol, we got Peter, got
Hey, thanks for the
Jensen.
support, brothers. How I
Yeah.
cannot see who's in. I guess I can't, right?
I mean, there's Peter saying hi.
But I'm gonna say hi to everyone because I won't. I don't think I see who's in the list.
Yeah.
But it's
Um.
okay. I can see them popping up now. Thank you. I just saw Jensen popped up now, and
Yeah.
brother Errol.
Yeah. So
Thank you
here's the
so much.
question: how'd you get linked up with Errol and Jensen? Because I know how Errol and Jensen got linked up, but how'd you get linked up with him?
Oh my God, Errol, how are we gonna answer this? It's actually much later.
Yeah.
Uh, because we skipped a big story on my backstory
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Well, let's back up. Let's go. Let's back up. Let's go for it.
no, but
I mean,
basically what happened was, I was training with martial arts up to college. I was teaching in college, and I was competing. I was competing on the national level. In Wekaf, when it moved to Arnis, Philippines, I competed there too. That's how I want to shout out to Grandmaster Rene Tongson, because he was instrumental. Grandmaster Rene Tongson up to now is instrumental in really making the art, the sport of the
mhm,
Philippines. It
mhm.
didn't become like this without him being a part of it. And I was there that whole thing. We used to be Lightning, Kali, Strissimo, Bakbakan. We used to be with Wekaf. and then we didn't like the politics there. It was just so bad that the Wekaf politics at that time was so bad that a new Arnis Federation had to be created called Arnis Philippines with Raymond Villayo and Grandmaster Benjamin Lema was also from there, moved there, and then a lot of us exodus there because for us, if you're not Dosi Pares, you're not winning in Wekaf.
Yeah.
So we moved. We had an exodus, and we went there, and then there was a lot of things that were discussed. The armor was off. The armor was off now. The first time the rubber sticks was introduced, the padded
Cool.
sticks were introduced. So
Nice.
now we can fight lighter, and we have the padded sticks. But although the padded sticks hurt before because they were just air conditioner liners. They're like thin, and then we didn't have PVC. Then we had to use like thin rattan sticks inside. So that padding breaks, and then you get hit by the stick. But we also have a very good scoring system then, but it was what do you call that? The product is registered to Arnis Philippines. So here's that system was very simple. You had two lighted scoreboards with every judge, and you just need to push a button. It goes up to 5.
Oh, that's cool.
So you see it going up. You know if you're ahead or not, and it's like the first hit to 5. It's not like now you hit 1, they stop. Just like you just hit if the judge sees you hit cleanly, that goes up a point. If you get disarmed, it goes. You get a disarm that counts as 2 points. So it was all there to see. That got created because of there was a lot of we would say not good judging practices back in Wekaf that they had to create something.
Cheating.
Yes.
I'm not part of Wekaf. I can say it. Cheating.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my God. Everyone knows it.
Yeah.
But because of the scoreboard, if this judge is biased, because like there's 3, right? It's like in boxing.
Yeah.
But you would see, if you see these 2 judges going to the same and then this judge is like, your score is still like, hey, this guy.
That's awesome.
You would see it. And you know what? The problem is now with PCAF, they weren't able to bring that technology in. Because again, with politics.
That's a shame because that's from an athlete, that's cool to see because it forces you to step up your game. And 2, for the audience, it's interactive. You get the cheers going up. Yeah, that's cool.
They see it. And it's not because I don't like the idea of like you hit and then it stops.
Yeah.
Because I like the flow. Because there's counters too. Right? If you stop it, you neglect the counter, which happens. Even if I hit you in a live scenario, if I hit you with a stick, that counter might still come, but it doesn't anymore. So, but this, you still get to play, but the first 5 clean hits is the only one get counted. So my first, I was playing their national level, right? He won. My opponent was the previous champion of that the previous year. He won the first set or the first round because there's third round, and then I won the second round. And at the second round he was ahead by 2. Then I won 1 point, and I was like, he was 4 already. I was like, shit. The only way I can maybe catch up right now with the time doing things is to do a disarm. I do a disarm. I won that round, and then we tied it up. I lost eventually, but that having that idea that he's ahead by 2 points, and my strategy was to do a disarm. I was able to do that because of the scoreboard.
That's awesome,
right?
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? No, there's no trademark here. I hope somebody puts that in back.
I mean, a consistent thing that gets brought up in FMA, like in all the discussions, all the podcasts, all the conversations, is a unified sparring methodology and tournament system.
Yeah, because you
Because
cannot do 10-6. You
yeah,
cannot do 10-6 in Arnis like we do now. It's so subjective, and there are no knockouts.
yeah,
At least in boxing, somebody gets knocked out, he won. Like, you would end that match. There's gonna be no knockout.
yep,
It's gonna be based on assumptions, and that's where everything gets magic.
yeah. And this is where like I keep hitting this thing, but it's the overall issue of what is the end state of Filipino martial arts for a person coming into it, mainly a parent putting their children into Filipino martial arts, especially here in the West, where they want trophies, not participation trophies. They want them to go win, go fight, go do the thing. And
Yes.
FMA, unless you're part of specific organizations, does not have a comprehensive national. It doesn't have a comprehensive like competitive a competitive end state. Unlike like MMA, you can or jiu-jitsu, you can go to MMA, boxing, you can go to the Olympics, taekwondo, judo,
Yeah,
etc.
yeah, yeah.
You can go do these things. FMA, with the lack of unity overall, unless you're part of specific organizations, there is no like national level competition that everybody can go play in.
Yeah.
So
So in the Philippines, PCAF right now is very successful, which I'm happy,
mhm,
because now, uh, when it was signed as the national sport, now
mhm,
every school has it,
yeah,
and that's how it got big. Everyone is competing now. So, but
yep,
there's two main competitions: the full body armor, live stick, just 10-6, 10-6,
mhm,
right? And people, there's a complaint, and then that one hit. So the one hit is successful in the eyes of the onlooker, because it's
mhm,
clear when you get hit, it
mhm.
gets stopped.
It's point sparring. Yeah,
It's point sparring. I don't want to delve into the idea, oh, this is realistic or not. I don't care, but they're both unrealistic. But at the same time, all the students now are just doing this.
yeah.
They're just
It's like
doing this. It's like they're just like,
it's like taekwondo as that's
yeah.
transition into tap point sparring. It's tag. It's just now tag with a stick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you know what, here's the thing. I went home 2 years ago. When I go home, if I have the time, I conduct a workshop with my group there, just to check on them. I check the combative skills of the
Hmm.
new kids in school. They don't have any.
Yeah,
They're so used to this. Said, dude, if you're gonna do that to me, you're gonna get destroyed.
yeah.
But that's how they practice now, right? That's how they practice. And where's your block? Where's your angles? Where you're nothing? No, it's all timing now, and Largo and all that stuff. So are we really? We're promoting it in a sense that people know it now, but how much are we promoting it in a sense of, it's not promoted as martial arts anymore. Nobody, if you keep on doing that, people will like, that's not a martial arts. you know
That's never gonna work in the streets.
I'm
Yeah,
like, I'm not gonna go there. So, like, but that's why the demos is
hmm,
important, I guess, to the public.
hmm,
So we are lucky now that we have social media and YouTube, where we can show the combative aspects of
yeah,
that martial arts, because the sports is totally far away from the intent of it. But
hmm,
it's needed in a way that I'm happy of the propagation of Filipino martial arts, and I don't want to take away from those people. Especially, we demoed it on the Southeast Asian Games, and a lot of people now in Southeast Asia
hmm.
are having Arnis trained, so they can have their own team.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah, so I mean, it's both. We just have to be we just have to be able to discern the sport aspect and the combative aspect of it.
Yeah,
And I think that's really how it is.
yep. That's a whole like long rant that's gonna get consistently brought up in every podcast,
Yes,
and
yes,
always
yes.
agree with everybody's take on it. So yeah, thank
Yeah,
you for that. I got
yeah.
a question on Instagram. This is from Justin from Sabang Kali. He's asking, where did your family come up with the system name of Lightning Scientific?
Lightning. Oh, I don't know about the lightning part. I never asked my grandfather about the lightning. I mean, we move quick. I mean,
Yeah.
our hits are quick. But the scientific part is other than modernities at the time, he actually coded, systemized it.
Hmm.
We have beltings. We have curriculums. Like, if
Mm-hmm.
you're white belt, this is what you're gonna learn. So we have progression. So and also uh, we have our system called Espada Idaga Serrada. You've heard of Serrada before. We have our own version of Serrada,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when I look at YouTube, there's also like an older form of Serrada that I
Mm-hmm.
saw that is more classic. But my grandfather made that Serrada into, well, let me digress a bit. My grandfather learned judo in the Kodokan in Japan. So basically, he applied the systematized approach to martial arts, and also a lot of our approach to reacting to an attack. There's a lot of influences from his older training there that it's scientific in a way that if you look at the more traditional application of Serrada,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it goes a little bit more than that in terms of like angles, in terms of measurements, in terms of taking the energy from the weapon down, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of thought into it. So that's why we have a professor that created the Lesgas group, Master Elmer Ibanez. He already passed away,
Mm-hmm.
but he was a professor of human kinetics in the University of the Philippines, and a lot of his students was human kinetics. Studied human kinetics through there, so they really studied why Mang Ben did this, why this angle here, why this power here, where this power come from. So when I go to teach at the workshop, I always start with that power generation, and it's
Mm-hmm.
all human. We start all from how the kick to the feet up to the arm, and the whole body going through the hit, including at the end where it flicks like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was studied. We studied that it's almost like almost like a baseball being thrown.
Mm-hmm.
It's relaxed, but if you throw it at full extension, you let the power go. You don't want to like pull back that power, like give it everything. That momentum that you bring, it's even if you hit it relaxed, because that whole momentum now it's just going through that one point,
Mm-hmm.
all to the tip of your finger, up to the tip of the stick. It creates a totally different strike because of that. So that's so other than the footwork, which is also not a usual triangle footwork. So this is the usual triangle footwork where when if you have the lead leg there, before you switch to the other side, it goes back here, creating a single focal point.
Mm-hmm.
Then it switches back. We did away with those because we don't want to be caught in a single point in transition, because we're basically one-legged here
Yeah. Yeah.
before
Yeah.
so when we transition like judo or aikido. This feet here goes here first. Your transition actually is a straddle stance. It straddle stance and then it switches.
Okay.
Straddle stance switches. So if you're caught in transition, you're caught in a stable stance, which is straddle
Yeah.
stance. You would
You have a
see
lateral
that in
base. Yep.
yes, you see that in aikido, that kotegai, that movement like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like this that regular triangle. It's like this. So you're always then also the feet doesn't go up. It slides. So if you get pushed or move in transition, you're always planted.
Yeah.
So I would say that's when the scientific comes in, because there's a lot of like things he adapted from I guess various inputs of his experiences he put in there. So
So a very strong academic rather than like a cultural. One of the problems, and this is going back to the issue of styles being taught in the backyard by people like hit this way, hit that way, hit this way, but
they cannot explain it.
Yeah, they can't explain it academically. So, Lightning
No.
Scientific seems like, especially because what was your explanation,
Yeah.
is that there was an academic approach to it, explaining
Correct.
with kinesiology.
Yes.
So it's like a sweet science, like boxing. There's a sweet science of
Yes.
understanding
Totally.
all the mechanics and yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, and that's why when I attended GM Bobby's workshop, you would see his boxing there.
Oh yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
yeah. There's a lot of thought because
Yeah.
when we break down, this is a very simple strike, right? This thing, it's very simple. But when we teach it, we break it down. Like why we come here? Why does this move? Why do we have full extension? Why at the tip this whips? So there's like 7 different things in your body happening in order for that strike to happen. So it's not just like a movement. It's like we can explain it to you where that power is coming from.
Yeah.
And why does it feel heavy?
It just beats the move this way, move that way.
No. It's gonna be breaking down because it's a very important skill for teachers too. When they go on to become teachers and their student, because the students now are not like the students before where they just accept things. They ask questions now, especially here in the West. People ask why, and you should be able to answer that why. We didn't have that before. You follow, but my grandfather also have the session after the session when everyone's just relaxing, taking their shirt off and hanging out after a 2-hour session. Is like, hey, Mang Ben, why did you do this? Then that's where all that learning too. That's another hour of just hanging out and just casual things. Because I understand that when you are in training and you're drilling, you should not be asking questions.
No.
Right? No. So, but some instructors too, they stop there after the session. You go home. No, there's like, okay, let's talk about stuff. But what do you think?
That's why the meal after training is so important, because all the real knowledge. That's where all the real knowledge happens.
Yeah.
So going because we were getting to that, but we got sidetracked. Teaching Filipino martial arts here in the States. How did that begin? And that was leading into how did you get linked up with Errol and Jensen and that whole crew?
So when I was applying to the States, so I was studying under my grandfather and teaching back in the province and competing. But when I was getting into the graduation stage of computer engineering, and then my focus was going to the States, I stopped training. I stopped training, and in a way I really walked out on it almost, and maybe I don't know, because it just took so much time when we were in college. If people understand college, how difficult college is in the Philippines, the classes are Monday to Saturday. Sometimes, because we're engineering, our professors work on technology companies, and they can be able to teach after 5 during the weekdays. So your usual 8 to 5 would be general education, and then the evening you have to stay till 9 p.m. to do your engineering, and then friggin' Saturday we have military training, reservist training. That was required at the time. So we were so fucking tired, and at the time, my grandfather would call on me to go with him on a Sunday too. And I was like a young kid. I was like, I just want to watch a movie and relax today, you
Yeah,
know?
busy man, busy man.
Yeah, yeah. So I was like, I just can't. It got so hard. I mean, part of it, as you know, of course, I regret that time. But I guess I cannot go back into the past. But if I think about it, as a young guy, your priorities changes with you with the stress you can handle, and
Hmm.
you're a teen. You'd rather be out in the movies or on a date or something like that, and
You need to
so
have a social life. You need to have general
because we
social
only have
skills.
one
Yeah,
day. We only have
yeah,
Sunday. We
yeah.
only have Sunday. So I stopped the training and I came into the state, the US. Never trained, never taught, never. It's just like,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? It's just a totally different life. It's just like, hey, you know what? I didn't, and also, I I I was training when I was a young person, so I didn't understand the idea of a legacy holder as well at the
Hmm.
time. I was one of his good students, and my father wanted me to teach when I come to the US. He said, you have to teach, not only because you were trained by your lolo, because you're actually good, you know. So I was like, all right, when I get to it and stuff. So, but I never really, but then I got during that time when I came to the States, I got overweight, and my I wasn't exercising well. My joints were killing me and everything. I cannot move. I was like, I went home at one time, but it was like, but people started noticing. There's like, oh, you know what? Mang Ben's grandson is there. Is a there. Mang Ben has a grandson that
Hmm.
was actually training. So people started looking for me, and I was like,
Oh,
uh,
crap.
yes, no, no. But he was like, because this he had a cadre of students who were still hungry for more,
Hmm.
and he's not here, and then also Mang Elmer passed away, so there was nobody to kind of like, hey, who can we ask this, like, um academic questions.
Hmm.
The ones who were left, they weren't interested in the academia of it. They was
Hmm.
like, who can break this down, and maybe we not even break it down, but like we can share notes with it. Maybe this guy knows how to fill in the blanks with all the stuff. So going to Errol, it was actually Alex, who one of his training brothers,
Hmm.
who knew I was here, said, I want to have to meet you. And I was like, and I want to train. I was like, you know what? Why not? And then Ryan also Cordero, Guru Ryan Cordero was also here in Jersey. So we started training. I
Yeah.
started getting back into it and stuff like that. And he was from a different line with Master Elmer. And then when we connected the first time, it just fell into this place, even though the training and the pathway was the same. It was like, and it started to come back full circle to me.
Hmm.
And it started to come back. So it was like, it's almost cathartic in a way that you walk there's this prodigal son that walked away from all of it only to find himself back right in the middle of it, and this like understanding your purpose now, spreading the art of your grandfather, spreading the art of lightning. That has been what engrossed me in the last 4 years only.
Yep. And you're creating new culture because you have a new brotherhood.
Yeah, and then now we have all these people that, now that's so Guru Alex. I we got introduced to Errol. Although I've always been watching Errol's videos, and
Hmm.
he has a Lightning lineage and stuff like that. But he didn't have. He trained with other different systems, but he really wanted to like really develop his lightning. I was like, yo, let's get together. Let's. So we had the three of us had a workshop together, and I did all lightning stuff, and that really started it for us. We got bonded stronger. We from this common bond of this line of martial arts. So it was beautiful. Like what I'm saying, it was almost it almost felt spiritual to me, in a sense that I can almost feel like my grandfather guiding me, because it also connected me to my cousin in the West Coast. He was looking out for me. He was actually the namesake. among Ben Lema the third, the really direct line grandson, but nobody was teaching him because his father did not also Mang Ben's son did not also teach. I mean, he taught his kids, but I don't know how much of it they wanted to. So this grandson here, who was hungry for that knowledge, didn't have anybody to reach out to. Then I think shout out to Grandmaster Darren Tibon when he invited me over to teach at Legacy. And that's another thing. That's another call it fate. He said, "We know about your grandfather. We're so impressed with his style. We don't have we don't have anybody to invite here in the United States, and the Legacy series is only for legacy holders. And we knew
Mhm.
about you. We would like to invite you to California to teach there." I was like, "Yes, why not? I would love to. I would be honored to." Like, so I flew there. Um, and meet everyone, the community there, was able to demonstrate my system and my grandfather's philosophy to
Mhm.
this group of martial artists already, along with Guru Carlo Lamagna, who was I'm very thankful who flew over there for me just so I can have the demo. So and then that my cousin, he saw that video and he
Mhm.
reached out to me. He reached out to me and said, Casted, like, I am this, and we're related. I know want to learn. I was like, all right, let's, we had a workshop in Portland. I said, come over. Let's start you there and stuff. I started him on videos and stuff like that. But see, everything's coming together and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And then I'm trying to get away from all the internal politics. That's why we wanted to have our own group here, to have run by brotherhood, not by codes. In its way, Lightning Alliance is basically lightning people from all walks of, like, let's just put a tribe
Yeah.
together. We don't have any bylaws, we don't have anything. You do your thing. It's just we just have you just have a tribe to come home to. That's it. There's no, hey, you have to teach it this way, you have to
Yeah.
do it this way, nothing like that. It's just like, that's it. There's nothing to it.
That's really cool because you see, we're going to dive a little bit into politics, but not our specific, but like you see with certain systems that are constantly fighting over the lead position of
Oh,
the
of
guy
course.
after the old man passes.
Yes,
And
which just happened to us too.
yeah, but what it sounds like is recognizing that is an issue because everybody that I understand with the Lightning Alliance, you guys are all senior enough in legacy holders that, and also you guys are seasoned enough in martial arts and have that
Yes.
maturity and that foresight to say, hey, to eliminate this nonsense, let's just eliminate this nonsense.
Yes. And you trust each
Yeah,
other.
yeah, and that's
Like
a big one. Yep.
like like Errol, right? Guru Errol. He teaches his own style, his own system, his
Hmm.
FMA-Kali, which has his training in modern
Wrestling.
Arnis.
Yep.
Yeah, like wrestling, lightning, and I forgot the other one, Guru Errol, but you know what I mean. But hey, I was like, there's no leadership that would say, hey, you cannot teach Arnis. If you want to
Hmm.
teach lightning, you only have to teach lightning.
Yeah.
Right? So it's this trust that I know what he's capable of, and he understands his lineage and his training. I was like, why control that person? Why control that person? Just let him do just be trust enough it's like your kids. They'll go to college at some point, they'll be independent.
Hmm.
Don't hinder their growth or don't hinder their creative space to expand on what they have. So
Hmm.
it's like, do your thing. Guru Ryan, his lineage is Leskas that became that they added to it, which under Guru Manolo, which is became MK Mandirigman Kaliridman. Now Guru Ryan added more to it, to his own stuff too, and now he has Bagani. But
Mm-hmm.
it still has Lightning lineage. He said, you know what, that's it. Those are the people that Lightning Alliance is right
Yeah.
now. Different groups of people, different approaches, but the core is there.
Yeah.
The footwork, the delivery, the philosophy is still there, even though your experiences and whatever your inputs are different,
Mm-hmm.
but the core, you understand the core,
Yeah.
of Lightning. And you know what, no arguments at all. No arguments, no nothing. It was just like, hey, when we see each other, hey Earl, what are we gonna do, a workshop? All right, man, let's find a spot. That's it.
Well, it's the other one too. I don't. So, does anybody within Lightning Alliance teach uh, FMA full time as a job?
Yes.
Yes.
So I have to shout out the yes. So Guru Errol, no, and
Mm-hmm.
Guru Alex,
Okay.
for New York. Guru Alex is in New York. He
Okay.
has a full time gym there. Guru Errol, of course, and we have two in Portland. Guru Ryan Bagani
Mm-hmm.
teaches there, and Guru Carlo. But Guru Carlo is an acclaimed chef right now, so he's busy with two restaurants and
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
upcoming. But he teaches for the community and the culture. He teaches at the cultural center or in the park,
Mm-hmm.
and so with Ryan. So, but he's still so busy now. But he only teach for that. They don't ask for money. Not it's just culture. And same with me. My goal
Mm-hmm.
is really because I cannot teach full time. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
photographer too, but I go to these gatherings because
Yeah.
I want to go to these gatherings and meet real people, share my info. I can
Mm-hmm.
get to learn from it. So it's like almost like an old school sharing of the art on a tribe.
It's
You
tribal.
know?
So
Yeah,
what I'm getting at is there's consistently the dichotomy of those who are doing this for income because they got to put food on the
I
table.
understand. I understand. Yes.
But there's also you got to put cookies back in the cookie jar, and that's for the lineage. That is the culture bearers, and they can work together. And this
Yes.
is where you see problems when you have different systems
Mm.
sometimes, or even the same systems that are in the same pond, and there's a small draw for market and ability, but being able to spread out and have an understanding that it's both sides of the table where you need the professional martial arts to be like, here is a center of people who's going to be there all the time. And
Yes.
but
It has
you
to.
also
It has to.
but on the other side of that, you have the culture bearers who can
Yes.
do this from the spirit of the art and pass
That's
that
it.
information on,
Yeah.
and they don't get sidetracked by some of the business related stuff. And when you guys are constantly working in synergy together, working together, it helps eliminate some of the drama of I've got to compete against you because we're going after the same
Yes.
pool of
Yes.
people. Yeah, and that's
No,
awesome.
nothing like that. It's
Yeah.
that's why when I had to fly to California for that Legacy series, I was like, oh shit, because I have to pay for my ticket and hotel and
Mm-hmm.
everything. But I'm doing it because this is a great opportunity for me to spread the art. And then
Mm-hmm.
Guru Carlo, he said, uh, I'm gonna go. I'll go with you, better. Because I need I need somebody to partner with and do the
Yeah.
demo with. And he said, I'll fly with you. You don't have to pay me anything. This is for Mang Ben. I'm gonna. He flew over, pay for everything. Actually, bring me to his like restaurants of his friends and stuff like that. So and his brother was there, Guru Darwin, and it was like a great time. Everyone was like putting cookies in the jar just
Yeah.
to make this happen. There was like, oh no, like I'm gonna spend money on this or whatever. And what's it for me? What's in it for me? There was none of that. It was just like, hey, you know what? I want to support you because this is for Mang Ben and this is for our art. I'm going, and then that's it, man. And that's how it has been. Same thing with Errol. If he and Ryan, he comes here to New Jersey, right? Guru Ryan, he's in Portland. He brought his family here to New Jersey, and
Mm-hmm.
I just told to save some money on his expenses. I said, hey Errol, Ryan is coming to town. You want to put together a workshop? That's it. That's the call. And it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
man, let's make it happen. That's it. And it happened. That's just one call. And we had a great time. We had a great time, and we had a great learning experience. But because of we don't have those barriers, we just call on each other when we need each other, and then it just comes.
Yeah, and that's awesome
Yeah.
because being a professional martial artist is a hard thing because you're not going
Yeah.
to get rich at it unless you're just not going to get rich at it. I'm sorry,
No.
unless you're a
Yeah.
professional fighter.
Yeah.
But the fact is, it's a labor of love, and
Yes.
without loving the thing, there is no impetus to continue on with it and also
Yes.
spreading it. So
Yeah.
I'm consistently stating that the reasons why we fight is based on love because we love
It
our art.
is. It is. Like, yeah, my driving force is the spirit of my grandfather.
Yeah.
And all the things that I do is, it's really, I pay for my own thing. I don't
Hmm.
ask to be paid. I told
Hmm.
them that. Don't pay me because I'm not doing it for that. And
Yeah.
like I told them like this recent thing that I did. It's like, no, 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 my share. I don't want my share. Put it on marketing. Put that
Hmm.
money back into marketing. Let's make the next year bigger.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
And I mean, what a way to again, and I keep coming back to this because this seems to be a theme for me for this episode is what a way to heal the injuries, the trauma of things that came before by bringing forth the things that you love and honoring it in the
Yes.
present, such as spending the time with your grandfather and sharing that gift of that time spent with him
Yes.
with the rest of the world. I mean, that's beautiful, and
Yeah.
that's how you heal generational trauma and not pass that on to the next.
Yeah. And also
Yeah,
me growing with the community.
yeah,
Now you have a
yeah,
community to come home to, right? You have
yeah.
your tribe and stuff that you can always count on, and I'm expanding that
Hmm.
also, like by
Hmm.
by supporting other systems. And this is
Yeah.
one thing is very important. You have to support other systems. When I came here, and this is no this, but everyone knows this. We went there we wanted to do a little video with Guru Ryan on this like hill, and we saw some Pikiti guys training, and he was like
Hmm.
introducing this to us, but they wanted to keep to themselves in a
Yeah.
way, and I'm not dissing anyone, but maybe that's their culture. But even now, it really a lot of it. But I know a lot of people now they're open. That like Guru Arlene, Tuhon Arlene. We had a great time. We had a great sharing. But she has also Lightning Lineage in the past.
Yeah.
But a lot of FMA styles here, they keep to themselves very very tightly.
Yeah.
I'm not like that. That's why I love Lex Chrysostomos FMA gatherings and Guru Tai upcoming in Virginia, is
Hmm.
because everyone goes there and puts things to. That's why I'm very thankful to like systems like those. And Tuhon Babi Ladra,
Hmm.
I've seen him go to these events. Not in his system, he shares his thing, he absorbs things too, and puts
Hmm.
back. And you know what? It's for me. That's I love that. I love that stuff.
Honestly, and going back to the tribal warfare aspect, unless we're actually fighting as tribes against the neighboring
Yeah,
tribe,
you don't need to.
there's no you don't need to. So there's no reason to hide the secret stuff because there really isn't
There's no
any
secret.
secret stuff
Yes, there's no
because
secret.
there's no
There's,
secrets. So why
it's
not
just
share it
evolution.
all? Yeah. So why not share it all? Because the fact is, more that we share it, more bonds that we build, and more that we break down the barriers
Yeah,
of prejudice, discrimination, and also just the overall like people got to talk. So talk to build those things and
yeah.
share a meal, touch hands, and we make a better future moving forward. So
And,
yeah,
and, and
that's awesome.
think about competition, right?
Yeah.
I'm also a businessman because I do photography.
Mm,
Why do people buy? Right? Do people
mm.
buy because you guys have two same products? Did they buy the cheaper one? They don't
It's
buy like.
perception of better. It's always the
Yeah,
perception of better.
yeah. So people don't buy price. They
Hmm.
they buy into the experience and how you make me feel. right? That's the main contributor of buying. So if you are threatened by competition, then you're not giving out a good experience, it means. Because why would you be threatened that when you have a student that they come to your gym, they feel they're taken care of, they feel that they're part of the tribe, they feel that they're learning. They don't care how much they pay you. They don't care about the other one. They come to you because they have a place to learn.
Yeah.
They have a
Yep.
place to go. If you think about, oh, shit, I'm not gonna entertain this guy because I'm insecure because this guy looks better. He teaches better, but he might not have the same experience that you're giving to you. So that's, I think that's just insecurity. Like I am not threatened by any system whatsoever, not because like I am the best, but because I know who I am, I know what I can teach, and I know my system, so I'm not threatened by anyone, but I can share with them, they can share with me, and then we go together. Maybe it looks holistic, but even in the business concept, I am part of of wedding photographers in New Jersey, which we number thousands. And you know
Yeah.
what? We go to the forum, we share knowledge. Oh,
Yeah.
how did you sell this thing? Because and then everyone grows. But you know what? We have enough customers for everybody. We don't have to fight because we have enough. We have
But
enough to share with.
a healthy market will always generate more income. A
Yes.
healthy market will always help the always help the ecosystem of said
Yes.
market.
And you know
So
what? Sometimes we were full, we pass it on to the next guy.
yeah, yep. And I mean, it creates networks and it builds bonds,
Yeah.
helps generate stories. Because I mean, again, we have more in common than we do.
Yeah.
And yeah, we just have more in common in general.
Yeah.
Um, and again, this is that part about building bridges. I'm all about building bridges and having conversations and stories because honestly, it takes nothing. It costs you nothing to be kind and take the time to listen to somebody. Actually, no, that's the cost, is taking the time to listen to somebody and their stories and learn their truths. And in the process of that, you
Yeah.
build compassion, empathy, care, and a bond. So really, it's a gift. That's the term or phrase that I borrow from Jeff Johnsgard is the blessing of the gift of your time because you
Yeah.
shared knowledge with me, you shared your experience, your story with me. And
Yeah.
this is where I feel more of our community or just the community in general needs more of that is
Yeah.
share stories.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
think, for example, like the recent one where Guru Arnold with Kalis Trisimo came in here. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of Lightning guys went, and Guru Vico is a friend, and I've always supported them.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, we had this full support. And you know what? And he said, like, we are super super grateful for your support, man. You call on Ki anytime, we'll be there.
Yeah.
Like, these two different systems. We
Yeah.
don't even, there was no competition. It's like, so when it's our turn to do a workshop, and you're in the area, we call on the guys. They'll send people.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's awesome. Because
Yes,
again, we have
kapwa.
yes, exactly. And we have more to build than to break.
Yes.
Because
Yeah, I really don't understand the closed door mentality of some of the systems here. Especially I'm a web developer. You cannot live in isolation, man.
oh
You can't.
yeah,
Not everything is shared now.
it's impossible. It is
Yeah.
impossible.
Yes.
So
Totally.
and this is that issue of like I much rather involve myself with those who make me happy and those who I don't
Correct.
want an echo chamber, but I also want what I want is the people who are going to respect my boundaries so I can respect theirs and we can be on an equal plane and
Yeah.
have that collaborative spirit of growth and accountability and not just ego emotional theft and
No.
time wasters. So
Yeah.
yeah, we surround ourselves with those who are going to make us better and those who are going to hold us accountable, and
Yeah.
that's healthy. And we
Yeah.
need more of that. And I'm
Yes.
grateful for those who are willing to do that.
I'm grateful for this. Your channel, for example, think about it. It's like you have like different systems coming in here and telling their stories and sharing. You know that it just makes everyone better.
Yeah, Yeah,
you know.
and also for me, from a very guilty standpoint, because I'm isolated way up
Oh
here in
well, that's yeah,
Alaska.
that's different. You're in,
Well, but
you're
here's the
totally
thing:
isolated.
I get to meet new friends. I get to make new
Yeah.
friends, and I have access to people that I've been wanting to have access to as I was coming up in martial arts. And now I get the little selfish aspect of I get to hang out with you for a couple
Yeah,
hours.
and
So
think about
yeah,
it. When we were starting developing applications for the web, when because we
hmm
were the pioneers in the Philippines, this
hmm
was the dream.
yeah,
There was a dream thing, supposedly what the internet was supposed to be, but like it turned out into something different. But this is like this was supposed to be what it should be doing, like sharing of ideas, growing together instead of like, oh my god, it's become so like toxic and stuff like that.
hmm
This was supposed to be the goal of it.
hmm
People from isolated places are able to have voices, can connect with other people from across the world. That was the
hmm
goal of the internet, people. That's what we were trying to build.
Oh,
Instead, now we're fighting over something insignificant in the comment section.
you mean like who bad versus who bad?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Connotation versus yeah,
Let,
all
let,
that
let
nonsense.
me let me put charging now because my phone is about to die.
Yeah, well, actually, we've been at this for a couple hours. Do you want to
It
end
was a
off?
great talk.
Yeah. Do you want to end with some final thoughts? Because like I said, we've been at this for a couple hours.
Let me just see first once my headset. Is my headset on? I put my
Yeah,
wireless headset on now.
yeah, I can hear you. Yeah,
Is my audio good? Okay.
it's good. It's okay.
Uh,
It's not the worst.
Final thoughts. Yeah, I mean, I'm really thankful for this opportunity because, as you said, it's been 2 hours now. It didn't feel like 2 hours. You
Yeah,
know, and we haven't even scratched the surface yet. You know, I was like
yeah,
jumping in timelines because, like, hey, man, I'm a multiverse kind of guy.
yeah.
And it was great talking to you. I think we did cover a lot. I know we can still go on another hour if we need to, but it was it's you have been part of my kind of like my goal of just being able to um, relay that hey, there's another system here. We're Lightning Scientific Arnis. Our system, we we have we do the main focus of the system it's there's serrada in there.
Mm-hmm,
We my grandfather calls it espada y daga serrada cadenilla, chain sword and dagger technique. But there's more to it. There's the scientific part. There's the fighting aspects also of lightning because lightning we believe in sparring. We believe in
mm-hmm,
sparring, that input in sparring. Also, our our methodologies are not steps in like we add to it in a way. If we when our methodology is actually like boxing combinations.
mm-hmm.
When you start in boxing, once you learn the basic thing, everything is combination. So
Play, play. Yep.
we keep on adding combinations. So it's really is geared towards scenario stuff. So it's not
Mm-hmm,
like hey one there's no it's not really, although there's a the basics of course, but once you do that, our system is a lot of responding to a certain input. So we have combinations for each of those inputs. So that's just it's in a nutshell. It's probably I haven't really encapsulated all of it because there's more to that, but I'm doing this for the legacy of my grandfather, Grandmaster Ben Lema, and as Kurt said, I'm doing it also for the culture and the tribe and the brotherhood and the sisterhood that that I have met and you know shared with through this whole journey that I had when I started coming back in the last 4 years. It's been that the support has been tremendous.
mm-hmm,
The people like you who are giving us places to tell those stories are immense. So to end, if you want to learn about the system, The founder is Grandmaster Ben Lema. We have instructors here in New Jersey, in New York. We have two in Portland. We have teachers in Texas and in California. So we are small, but we are mighty, and we are here for you guys. If you want to just be curious and learn about a different system in fighting art. So we are Lightning Alliance, and we are the lineage of Grandmaster Ben Lema, Lightning Scientific Arnis International.
Awesome. Well, Sachi, you and the rest of the crew are always welcome to come on here because
Yeah, no,
honestly,
man, we
I
only
just,
had the introduction part, so we can always delve into something more anytime.
dude, you guys are always welcome. I always appreciate interacting with you on the internet because honestly, you guys are just a cool bunch of dudes. So
Hey, thank you.
yeah, you're always welcome here. I'm looking forward to someday touching hands, sharing a
We
meal,
will.
just hanging. So yeah,
And you know what? I love nature and I love to travel. If you can come here, guess what? I'll be knocking on your door pretty soon.
come fishing. Come fishing. Got a
Yeah,
boat.
well, that's it. That's it.
Oh, brother, I'm gonna drop you down for a moment. I'll do my outro and just hang out in the lobby real quick.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, one
Peace,
sec.
everyone.
All right. Well, everybody, that was Guro Sachi Villareal from the Lightning Arnis Alliance. This was an awesome conversation. For people who don't know, he's one of those cool FMA guys that I meme back and forth and nerd out back and forth online. He's becoming like one of my good friends online, as what the internet was made for. So check him out. Yeah, this has just been a great time. So yeah, no long outro because I'm going to edit it anyways. Later.